The second line of questioning and checkpoints is your psychological, your mental sort of checkpoints and mental issues. The first one kind of starts out a little bit maybe cliched for a lot of people, but I think it's very important, which is purpose. So do you fully understand why you're doing the race that you're doing, the training session you're doing, and what you're trying to achieve? For a lot of people, you can go through a lot of time, Ice Americano, Ice Long Black, but you call it Ice Americano. That's what I've just had a sip of. Why am I actually doing this? You could, for some people, they don't need to know the reason. For some people, they don't need to know the reason to a certain point. But for some people, there'll be an early point which will hold them back. They will stop when it gets a little bit tough because they don't know the reason. I think we need to be responsible, and this is what we talk about a lot in our coaching. I think as coaches, one of our jobs is to try and educate. As I was saying in podcast 842, when I was talking about our class program, we're trying to help people understand a little bit more how we do what we do and why we do what we do. So understanding a little bit your sort of purpose of being there that day. It doesn't have to be super deep. Don't worry. You don't have to have gone through a lot of self-reflection and self-discovery, although I think that's great too. But just really understanding what the purpose of that particular race is, what that particular workout is, and that particular training session is, will help you put your mind in a lot stronger place to keep pushing, perhaps when there's that last 100 meters or that last round of the workout, or it is a little bit tough. Some planning is super important as well. So the question I asked is, have you programmed the mind to know what is coming? And for some people, they're like, I don't want to know how bad it's going to be. And that's kind of all right. But sometimes, and everyone's a little bit different here, most people that I ask would want to know, okay, how many sets of or reps or how many efforts are we going to do at a certain intensity? So then they can program their mind to do it. Some people will be happy not to know. But for the most part, if we plan a little bit and we sort of tell the mind what we want from it, and maybe identify that, yeah, when I get to the last 200 of this 1500, I'm probably going to be at pretty much my max heart rate. My legs are going to hurt a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on my run form. I'm going to make sure my chest is up and back. And these are all great intentions. Sometimes it just goes to absolute shit. But at least you're telling your mind what cues to give it and what to say at that point. And there's a little bit of planning going on, which if you read my weekly The Inner Fight Way messages, I read something the other week, which I put in there, and the impact of just a little bit of planning on what we're going to do, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a workout, whether it's preparing the mind, sees a massive impact on performance. So just a little bit of planning. What's going on? Did we program the mind? Did we tell it what we want it to do? Did we maybe make it aware of what it might be feeling? If it's all new, then that's okay. But if you do work with a coach, then maybe ask them, what am I supposed to be feeling, or what maybe will start to go through my mind at a certain point? And as far as possible, for most of the athletes I work with, I always try and tell them, this might be what you may be feeling here when I feel that's necessary. Sometimes I want to throw people into things so they can sort of learn for themselves and get a feeling for themselves. So it's not always cued. But if you're trying to do some internal reflection on yourself and you're trying to find out where the blockage is, ask yourself, did I plan that session out? Did I start to think about what might happen at a certain point without getting too complicated? And did I tell my mind what might be going on? Ask yourself as well, what are you feeling about certain things? Like, how did you feel when, and this is maybe a little bit more of a post-mortem rather than pre, how did it feel when you got to round 4 of the workout and you backed off the pace? Were you aware of it? Did you know what was going on in your mind? So a little bit of emotional intelligence as well, a little bit of feeling. And the next point is really what are those thoughts that are coming into your mind? What were they at which stage of the workout? And this sounds really it could be too many variables for some people. So please don't take everything and try and tick every single box. But some of these things are are key checkpoints that I wouldn't ask all of these things to the same athlete at the same time, but as we'd work through a process to try and remove a blockage, remove a pain point that they might have, we might attack different areas, so to speak. So are you getting positive thoughts in that last 200? Are you getting negative thoughts in that last 200? If so, what are the negative thoughts and what impact do they have? Do you tell yourself that you feel tired, and what impact does that have? We also then, it leads, and this is where it does get a little bit complicated, but I think it's a super interesting point, is that maybe we have some mismatched messages. Is the body and the mind singing from the same song sheet? And you might have trained your legs, and this goes back to the athletes that are trained exactly the same, fueled exactly the same. They have the potential to perform exactly the same, but they're unable to because their minds are not in tune with their legs. Whereas the athlete that wins, perhaps his mind or her mind is actually in tune with their legs. Sometimes it might be the other way around. Sometimes the mind might be willing, but the legs are just not willing at all. And that's why I think this is a clear split if these things are happening either mentally or physically. Hopefully so then we've got, just to summarize the mental sort of checkpoints, we've got what's the purpose? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What's the plan that I have? Have I tried to program the mind? And how do I feel about this task at hand? Like, is it actually something I want to do? And that also links back to purpose. What thoughts are going through my mind at which stage of the race, the training session, or the workout? And then ask myself, are my thoughts and my feelings and what I want from my body in tune with my mind? Is my body ready? Is my mind ready? Because to get high performance, we're pretty much going to need both of them singing off the same song sheet, in sync, together, in harmony, in flow, however you want to put it.